For Christmas this year, little Timmy asked Santa for a drone and his wish was granted. He received a small, almost helicopter-like remote-controlled toy. Many Americans have this perception of drone technology. On the other end of the spectrum, there are some that will likely think of a military machine used for destruction and terror. In our prison system, there is currently a war on drones that many would say prison staff are losing. Let's look at drone technology in prisons. We'll start with a brief history of how we got drones, then move on to their contraband smuggling application, before finishing with how the government is stopping it. First, let's define what a drone is. According to Merriam-Webster, a drone is an unmanned aircraft or ship guided by remote control or onboard computers. Drones are not new technology. In fact, the first drone was flown in March 1917 during the height of World War I. Although this was very basic and looked like a plane, throughout the years, further development would occur. In 1946, a B-17 Flying Fortress would be flown remotely for 2,600 miles. Through the years, they would get smaller and smaller. Early on, drones were usually used for surveillance, but in 2002, the US conducted its first unmanned kill operation, which was conducted by the CIA. This was the infamous MQ Reaper drone. Here in the US in 2004, the FAA began to recognize that drones were the future and began issuing the first commercial drone permits. Many have heard of Amazon's push for drone deliveries, which now has been a long time in the making. Jeff Bezos did an interview with 60 Minutes where he said, "I know this looks like science fiction. It's not. One of the most popular drones, both for fun personal use and prison contraband operations, is the Phantom 4, manufactured by DJI. Although usually a larger drone is needed to make those contraband deliveries, if you go to Amazon, you can find a cheap drone that takes video for $50, which is amazing." Now that we have a bit of background of what a drone is and how they came about, let's look at their illegal use in the US prison system. The US Bureau of Prisons didn't begin tracking drone incidents at prisons until 2018. Rest assured that this was not the beginning of their use in prison contraband operations. It is believed that the first drone in the federal prison system was intercepted in 2015 at FCI Victorville. Soon after that, news stories began to surface of drones being used at state facilities across the country. Prison contraband operations aren't the only concern with drones operating within prison grounds. According to the BOP, drones could be used to surveil BOP facilities, collecting information on the facility layout and movement of staff and inmates that could be used to facilitate prison incursions, track or harm BOP personnel, or initiate prisoner escapes. Although there are a number of stories of prison drone incidents, let's just tackle a few. In August 2022, Texas officials along with federal investigators announced the indictments of 42 people involved in a drone smuggling ring. The inmate behind the alleged conspiracy is Yeshmael James Wright. The ring was smuggling in heroin, methamphetamine, and synthetic marijuana. The indictment didn't specify which facility this was taking place at. Wright was already serving a 30-year sentence for robbery. Another similar drone smuggling ring was shut down in South Carolina earlier in 2022. An 8-month investigation in South Carolina led to 20 arrests. The prison involved, Lee Correctional Institution, is a high-security facility with a history of violence. You may remember this prison from a major riot in 2018 that led to 7 deaths. Police caught 5 people in 2 groups attempting to fly drones over the prison yard. Most of the defendants involved were charged with contraband and criminal conspiracy-related charges. In 2021, South Carolina had 166 reported drone sightings. In a crazy story from France, it is believed that a famed prison escape using a helicopter was actually planned using drones. There were reports that months prior to the escape, drones were constantly buzzing the prison. Through reconnaissance, the drones were able to find the only area in the prison that lacked anti-helicopter netting. The escapee would be taken into custody 3 months later. Even more threatening is the idea that drones could deliver firearms to inmates inside the prison. This would be a recipe for disaster. What are prison systems doing to counter this? Many times, the pace of technology is changing so quickly it is becoming very costly. In 2013, South Carolina invested $8 million in golf netting to stop people from throwing items over the fences. Now, this $8 million investment is basically worthless, with drones being able to fly over and deliver the package. Shooting down drones is not feasible, and as we will explore, jamming the signal is not allowable in state prisons. So what options are there for countering this? D-Drone, an anti-drone company, has quite an interesting system for dealing with drone activity at a prison. They set a perimeter around the prison, and when a drone is detected by sensors, the system will alert correctional staff. The technology can then lock onto the drone and track its flight path to determine the pilot's location. They are then able to respond quickly to that location. Hopefully an arrest is made, but they can also note that area and fill any potential gaps in security. This may be the most effective way to deal with these threats. Another aspect of the fight on drones is the FCC regulation against allowing jammers to block the remote signal to the drone. The federal government can use jamming equipment, but not state prison systems. According to the FCC, federal law prohibits the operation, marketing, or sale of any type of jamming equipment that interferes with authorized radio communications, including cellular and personal communication services, police radar, and GPS. The US government is seeking to add to its enforcement power to curb drone activity. In April 2022, it laid out its list of actions, including expanding tracking of drones, establishing a list of authorized detection equipment, and creating a national training center for countering malicious drones. We will have to see if the actions taken will have any impact on the smuggling of cell phones, drugs, and other contraband into prisons across the country. I'm sure correctional staff will have to adapt to new trends in the quickly changing technology, as it seems this problem will not be going away anytime soon. Let me know in the comments if you have any experience with drone technology. As always, see you next time.